Okay, so we're going to get started today. Welcome to the ELA virtual meetup. As you've probably heard before and you're going to hear again, this is nothing compared to the time that we spend together. So make sure if you can to hop on our actual virtual meetups. But if you have to miss it, that's okay. You can watch the video, okay? So we're going to start off with our welcoming ritual. Have you ever had a really big dream, okay? Something that seems so big and maybe almost impossible. Okay, so I want you to think of a big dream that you might have had and pause the video so you can share it with a parent, a sibling, maybe a grandparent, whoever's around you. Okay, well, we are going to be reading about a dream today. And you read yesterday, you read a text called Sometimes a Dream Needs a Push. And today we will be reading, if I can get to it, we will be reading Harlem, okay? So before we begin, let's get a little background into this poem, okay? So this poem's called Harlem by Langston Hughes. First of all, Harlem is a place, okay? This is a place in New York, and this is written in 1951, okay? So a different time than right now. So Langston Hughes was born in 1902 and died in 1967. He was an African-American poet, novelist, and social activist, okay? So when we talk about a social activist, that means that he spoke up for something that he that he thought was wrong in society, okay? That's what a social activist does. And so he was an important leader of the Harlem Renaissance. And that is basically a change and a movement that happened in Harlem, New York. It was a social, cultural, and artistic movement, okay? So in this poem, the speaker wonders what happens to dreams when they are postponed. And so I want you to be thinking about that. What happens to a dream when it gets pushed away, when we can't accomplish that dream, okay? When it's just screaming inside of us, but we can't let that dream out and we can't let it become a reality, okay? And I want you to specifically think about what the writer could be feeling when he's writing this, okay? So how do you feel about a dream that doesn't happen, that doesn't play out the way you felt like it would, or that's just not happening yet? And then also think about what this author could have felt, okay? So he's a social activist and he's trying to see change in Harlem, New York, but maybe this change isn't coming true like he hoped, okay? So let's read this together. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Okay? So first of all, deferred, if you were not sure what that word meant, that's the same as delayed, okay? So deferred means something that's going to happen eventually, but it hasn't happened yet, okay? So it's delayed. And then fester, that's the other word right there with the one by it, fester. And right down here we can see it means to become infected, okay? So let's go over these questions really quick. Number 1, which sentence describes the main idea of the poem? Okay, so let's read the sentences. Some dreams need more time to develop and grow. It's difficult for people to keep their dreams alive. No one knows what happens to dreams that are never fulfilled. Dreams that are delayed could disappear or become a burden. So what do you think? What is his main idea that he's trying to get across? So, let's look at the first one. Some dreams need more time to develop and grow. Well, he is not saying they need more time, right? He's asking the question, what happens when they're deferred? B says it's difficult for people to keep their dreams alive. So he doesn't talk about any specific people or their trouble with keeping their dreams alive. C says no one knows what happens to dreams that are never fulfilled. So he is asking that question, right? But then he gives some possible solutions, and all the solutions are pretty negative, right? So does it just dry up, is he saying? He says, does it fester, which we learned means becomes infected, right? Does it stink? Does it crust over? Does it sag like a heavy load, or does it explode? That's what he's saying. So we can tell that he thinks that dreams that are delayed could disappear. So, like a raisin in the sun. So we know it's like a grape, but when a grape dries up, it goes away, right? It shrinks. It becomes less. And then also it could become a burden. Okay, so he says it could be infected, it could feel like a heavy load, or just explode. So it's D. Dreams that are delayed could disappear or become a burden. Part B. Which detail from the poem best supports the answer to part A? So what supports what we decided the main idea was? A. What happens to a dream deferred? Like a raisin in the sun? Does it stink like rotten meat? Like a syrupy sweet? Okay, so let's talk about this. When we're talking about finding the best support for what we said, which was dreams that are delayed could disappear or become a burden, we wouldn't be asking the question, what happens to a dream deferred, right? Because that doesn't support the main idea that dreams that are delayed could disappear or become a burden. That's just the question. B says like a raisin in the sun. So that's not giving us a complete idea of it being delayed or becoming a burden. Does it stink like rotten meat? Okay, so let's actually hold on to B and C, okay? So those are both questions that we kind of discussed, showed us that it could become a burden or disappear altogether. And then D is like a syrupy sweet. So that's not even a complete sentence, so we're going to get rid of that. That doesn't make sense, right? And for that reason, we're going to get rid of B as well, like a raisin in the sun. We don't know what we're talking about, right? But C says, does it stink like rotten meat? So we know we're specifically talking about that dream deferred, okay? That dream that's delayed, it could stink like rotten meat, okay? And so that's an explanation of how it could become a burden, right? It could just weigh on you so much that it becomes kind of like a stench, okay? That's always there. Number 3, which statement explains the simile? Okay, what's a simile? Take a moment and think about it. Okay, a simile compares two things using like or as. So if you got that, good job. If not, that's okay. We're actually going to be talking about that more soon. So it says, maybe it just sags like a heavy load. So what explains that simile? What does it mean if it just sags like a heavy load? So A, it can be difficult to know that a dream stopped serving its purpose. B, it can be frustrating to see a dream fail to become a reality. C, a postponed dream can sometimes be something that's difficult to carry. Or D, dreams can easily bounce back after being neglected for some time. What do you think it means to sag like a heavy load? Okay, well, when we think of a heavy load, we think of something that is really burdensome. It's hard to carry, okay? So C, a postponed dream can become something difficult to carry, would be the explanation for him saying it sags like a heavy load. Okay? And so last but not least, we're going to come back here and over here. You are going to compare and contrast. Ooh, no. Compare, ooh. Always my C's become these nice little zeros. So, compare, oh no. Compare and contrast. Okay, compare and contrast. What happens in the story you read yesterday? So sometimes a dream needs a push. I want you to compare that to this story we read today, or the poem we read today, which was Harlem, okay? And to do that, I want you to create a double bubble map, okay? So I'm going to explain to you how to create the double bubble map. And then what I want you to do is I want you to fill it in on your own, or you can look at what we did today in our virtual meetup. So this won't be available until after the virtual meetup, but I'm going to put a picture of what we decided would go in this double bubble. Okay? So first of all, right here in this bubble, you are going to talk about, you're going to put sometimes a dream needs a push. So you're going to actually put that in that bubble. In this bubble over here, you're going to put the title Harlem, okay? And then you're going to have a few bubbles in between. Okay? So here are my few bubbles in between. And in these, you are going to write how they're similar, okay? So the things that they have in common. And over here, you're going to write how it's different, okay? How sometimes a dream needs a push is different. What are the different things it talks about? And over here, you're going to write about how Harlem's different. Okay, so what are the different things that Harlem talks about that sometimes a dream needs a push does not? Okay, so let's remember in the center, you're going to put how it's similar. On the edge, on this edge, you're going to put how sometimes a dream needs a push is different. On the other edge, you're going to put how Harlem is different. And then in this box, you're going to put the title, Sometimes a Dream Needs a Push. And in this box, you're going to put Harlem, okay? That title. Now, this is to get you thinking so that you can write your compare and contrast, so you can write that paragraph, okay? So make sure to check out today's assignments. Make sure to look over them, okay? That's what you're doing today, is you're writing that compare and contrast paragraph, okay? So go ahead and check that out. If it's not posted yet, the picture of our filled in double bubble, then you need to make sure you look after the virtual meetup, okay? Because otherwise you need to be attending the virtual meetup. Okay. Well, thank you so much, guys. You did a great job. And, we need to end with our optimistic closure. Let's do that first. Here's our optimistic closure. So what was something different about these two texts that you liked? So at this point, hopefully you paused the video and completed the double bubble or looked at our double bubble. If not, make sure to pause the video right now and decide that. Okay, now what was something that was different about these two texts that you liked? Share with a family member, a friend, someone close by, okay? And I will see you guys very soon. Thank you.